Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. This is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's first webinar on our community education, financial education program utilizing public libraries. And so let me start by going through some housekeeping. As was mentioned, we will be taking questions. We do want to make this as interactive as possible. So there is a question feature in the meeting software. And you can ask your questions as we go through the webinar, and we'll take those questions and answer them at the end. We will also be recording this webinar, so comments will be recorded, and we will present an archived version of this on our website, and we'll be sure to get that information out to you as soon as it's available. So if you look at the top of the webinar screen, you'll see the Q&A letters there. Just go ahead and click on that and enter your question. As we go through the webinar, we'll be collecting those and we'll answer them at the end. Again, my name is Dan Rutherford. I'm the Senior Content Specialist with the Office of Financial Education here at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
And hi, my name is Duvis Correal, and I'm also with the Office of Financial Education. I'm in charge of strategic partnerships and outreach for the office. Thank you.
So this is actually the first in a series of webinars that we'll be presenting throughout the year. The whole idea is to present libraries with information that will help them become more confident as they talk to patrons about money issues. We will also likely invite other government agencies to participate in these webinars, so this list may change as we go forward, so please stay tuned as we continue throughout the year. Here's today's agenda. This includes the introduction portion of the webinar, and in a second, Dubis will offer a brief overview of the Bureau and the background on the program. We'll also go over the community education program in detail and wrap up with your questions and answers.
Thank you, Dan. So I will provide a brief overview of the Bureau for those of you that don't know about it. The Bureau was established about 3 years ago as a result of the financial crisis, and it was created through the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act of 2010. We opened our doors in 2011, actually in July, so this is our 3rd anniversary. And our mission is really to protect consumers from unfair and deceptive practices. We are with the Office of Financial Education, which is in the Division of Consumer Engagement and Division of Consumer Education and Engagement. And we do also have a Division of Supervision and Enforcement, and they help us regulate financial institutions and also make sure that financial institutions are compliant with consumer protection laws. Our office, the Office of Financial Education, focuses on the consumer. And what we would do with the project is to help libraries have resources on financial education. And why is financial education important? First, as part of our legislative mandate, we were mandated to develop and implement a strategy to improve the financial literacy of consumers in the United States. We know that what happened, part of what happened during the financial crisis was that a lot of people didn't understand the kind of contracts they were signing. People were not very knowledgeable about money, and also how that impacts their ability to make recent financial decisions. So we are doing a lot of work in this area to make sure that consumers have information so that they can make better financial decisions. What you're seeing on the screen are the results of the 2012 National Financial Capability Study that was conducted by the FINRA Investor Education Foundation. They did one survey in 2009, and they did a follow-up survey in 2012. And the survey showed that study participants were asked 5 questions covering basic concepts of economics and finance, and such as compound interest, inflation, and it showed that consumers didn't know, they were not able to answer more than 3 answers correctly. And going into why financial education is important, the statistics show that about 59% of people have not planned for retirement. I'm not going to go through all the statistics, but some of them are 63% have not saved for the child's college education, and 22% have overdrawn on a checking account. Research shows that many people overestimate the strength of their financial knowledge. So why this project? As I indicated, our agency was created about 3 years ago, and the Office of Financial Education was formed in 2011, later in that year. So what we did during our first year was a number of listening sessions across the country. We wanted to talk to the public. We wanted to talk to practitioners who are providing financial education to consumers. And really, we wanted to learn where consumers were going for financial education. And we learned that when consumers have a financial problem, they don't know where to turn for help. And when this happens, small problems can grow in much bigger problems. And then what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Dan, so that he can continue with the presentation.
Thanks, Deuce. So what we heard was, generally when you have a problem with the bank, sometimes the bank may not be very responsive, or sometimes people just don't feel comfortable turning to, the institution that's causing the headaches. And so they don't know where to go. And that was our challenge, and that was what we faced. How could we provide a high-impact, community-focused financial education effort? After hearing what we heard on the ground, we came back to Washington, and this challenge was basically put to us and to our office. And we wanted a resource that was available in every community that could offer consumers free access, unbiased information, a helpful, knowledgeable staff, because, while a lot of our energy these days is spent on digital resources, sometimes you need more than a computer. Sometimes you need a friendly face to sort of point you in the right direction, or look for the meaning in some of the questions that you're really trying to ask. And we wanted institutions that had that high degree of trust. And libraries, quite frankly, were the obvious answer. From a purely retail perspective, libraries are ideal. You have more locations, I read online, than McDonald's. In all, public libraries served 297.6 million people throughout the U.S. That's nearly 100% penetration. That's an incredible reach. And on average, Americans are visiting public libraries more than 5 times a year. So they're coming to you regularly. The other thing that we learned, as we started researching libraries, is that while budgets are being cut, while staff hours are being reduced, that program attendance is holding steady or increasing. And that was very encouraging for us. There's also been recent research by Pew and others that showed that libraries are a very important resource to parents and those with low and moderate incomes. And again, in our research, we also found an interesting statistic from the IMLS that in 1 year, nearly 25% of all public access computer users logged on to access computers for their commercial needs or to manage their personal finances, which for us was a key statistic. So this was, given that information, given those details, this was a pretty easy sell internally. And the executives and the leadership here at the CFPB really embraced the idea of utilizing public libraries as a way for us to sort of gain, instant reach and instant help in our effort to educate Americans about their finances. So we officially launched this project back in the summer of 2013. And, there are our goals. Essentially, we want to build a infrastructure in coordination with libraries and national partners to reach consumers where they are in their neighborhoods. We want to take advantage of existing programs and resources already in the field and expand existing financial education efforts already occurring in communities. So essentially, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to utilize what's already successful, and what we've heard from librarians is they're already doing a lot of this. And so what we want to do is make it easier for you to do more. So we started this effort by listening. In that first summer, we found 9 libraries across the U.S. and essentially asked them, what is it that what do you want to do? What do you want to, how can we help you do more? What are your constraints? What are your capabilities? What is it that holds you back? We talked with staff, we talked with administrators, we talked with library associations, and we surveyed more than 700 patrons. So those 9 libraries have been instrumental in helping build this program. They've been involved from the very first, and really we like to say this was built by libraries for libraries. Those partners, just so everyone is, so I give them the recognition they deserve, is the Brooklyn Public Library in Brooklyn, New York, the Orange County Library System in Orlando, Florida, Florence County Library System in Florence, South Carolina, Georgetown County Library in Georgetown, South Carolina, Pelham Public Library in Pelham, Alabama, Fresno County Public Library in Fresno, California, San Francisco Public Library in California, the Menominee Tribal College in Wisconsin, and the Columbus Metropolitan Library in Ohio. So what they told us was that, really there's a lot of information out there. They don't have a lot of time, they don't have a lot of staff to sit there and vet these resources, and so they wanted a clear list of financial information and resources. They needed marketing help. They wanted materials that would let patrons know that these services were available in their libraries and how they can advertise the programs and events that they are holding. They wanted to help with community partnerships. How do they go about developing those partnerships and discovering who's trustworthy, who's not? How do they set up the paperwork that they would need to make sure that the resources are there and that relationships are followed up on? They wanted to share engaging program ideas. One thing that we learned was that information tends to silo along state lines, and what was happening on one side of the country may not have been heard on the other side of the country, and so we wanted to find a way in which we can break down those barriers and share those program ideas. We wanted to provide staff training, and that's in the form of webinars like this and also possibly in-person training as we start to reach out and build our outreach. And it needed to be flexible and customizable. And again, one thing we learned, and even dealing with a small number of 9 libraries, is that no 2 libraries are alike, or what works in one library may not necessarily work in the other. We will provide you with the resources. We'll do the webinars, the in-person trainings on financial topics for staff development. We're developing job aids, information that you can have handy at your reference desk for people who come up and ask questions. We'll have an inventory of resources for reference use and for program development. Those are both online resources and print resources. We're putting together program ideas, not only developing those internally, but also asking other libraries what's worked for them and what could we do to sort of replicate that elsewhere across the country. Marketing materials. We're developing bookmarks, posters, displays, and standing computer tents that you can have at your public access computer terminals that will help inform consumers what they can do to check their credit report or submit a complaint to the CFPB. We've also written a community partnership guidebook. This guidebook is available in the handouts that we've provided for this webinar. If you look again at the top of your screen, you'll see what appears to be 3 white pages on the right side of the upper bar. You just click on that and download that guidebook right now, or you can come to our website, consumerfinance.gov/library resources, to reach all of these resources and more. We didn't do this alone. Again, we know that there were a lot of folks already working in this space, and we made sure that we reached out to all the other government agencies and other organizations that are doing financial education working with libraries. So we put together a large and growing list of national partners, and here is a list of all of them, including the Institute of Museum and Library Services, the American Library Association, including the Public Library Association, and the Reference and User Services Association, and the FINRA Investor Education Foundation. We're also working very closely with, and we encourage you to reach out to your USDA Cooperative Extension Service office, and we've partnered with the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, which hosts the annual Money Smart Week national campaign. Also, we're getting resources and help from the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the Federal Trade Commission, and we're in conversation with many other groups. And like I said, this list will be growing as we move forward. While we don't expect you to become financial experts or provide all the help that your patrons need, we don't want you to become financial advisors or feel that you need to, take on the responsibility of putting together a financial plan for people who walk in the door. But what you can do is join these webinars to increase your financial knowledge and be ready to start conversations and learn more about what your patrons' needs are so you can guide them to the effective resources. Establish referrals with partners who are objective and can help your patrons when you're unable to help. So what are some of the other organizations and resources in your community? State government, county government, state government that can help with not only putting on presentations, but you could also direct people to them for those services. And we want your feedback. That's important most of all. Like I said, we started this program by listening, and I think that by continuing that two-way conversation is really the only way to help this program stay vibrant and grow as we move forward. So on the screen now is our website, and there's the URL at the top. consumerfinance.gov is our homepage, and if you do a /library-resources, you'll be able to access all these materials. I think Dubas is trying to pull it up online now. So we'll start with the program ideas, and again, this was just our first batch. It's a growing list. So we have a brief introduction, and then we go into 3 different ideas that you can start with in terms of developing program ideas. We provide sort of an overview of what the topic is. So in this case, preventing elder financial exploitation, a brief description, and then who some of the presenters that you could call upon in your community to help present this sort of program. We then go into organizations that can help you spread the word or offer audience that might be interested in the topic. Next, we move into online resources and workshop resources. These are the types of things that you can use to build the program or use as reference materials as you're developing the materials for the program. Again, we did this for 3 different topics. So here we have one for newlyweds and one for back-to-school shopping. Again, all following the same format of presenters, organizations that can help you spread the word, online resources, and workshop materials. One of the worksheets that we'll provide is sort of a resource for you. This is the CFPB's My New Money Goal worksheet. And it just kind of works through these. So you can print this out on your own, and then we also have materials that you'll be able to bulk download. Next up is the Partnership Guidebook. This is the partnership guidebook that we developed. As I said, it sort of walks you through what's needed to kind of go into developing a partnership, what you should consider when thinking about partners. This is a program planning worksheet that basically poses the questions that you might ask as you're putting together a program. What are the goals of the program? Who are you trying to reach? And it all boils down to who are the partners that make sense for this program. The other important form in this booklet is what we're calling the Partner Outreach form. And again, this is a form that you can use as you're planning your program. The idea being that by the time you're done filling out this program, or this form rather, that you would have all the information you would need to hand off to your library attorney or governing body to develop an MOU or an agreement that you and the partner can use to make sure that all the obligations are met. We also include a list of our national, state, and local partners, and this, again, is a way for us to sort of help you get started as you start the partnership process. We look for partners and partner ideas with large organizations that had deep local networks. So in these cases, HUD-approved housing counselors, for example, are in basically every state and every, largely widely across the country. So you can access those and, use them in terms of, having programming about buying a home or, how to refinance or, credit counseling. Money Smart Week is a good national partner. The NFCC, which are credit counselors, these are organizations that can help you find local agencies in your area We've also included a short list of CFPB resources that you can also use. So again, you see the Ask CFPB tool. That's a database that you can utilize to type in questions that deal with consumer financial products and get answers from the CFPB that would be helpful for your patrons. And if, we also have a submit a complaint function. If a patron has an issue with a credit card or a money transfer or a problem with their credit report, they can submit those complaints to us. They'll go into our database. We'll forward them on to the appropriate company and then track that complaint for them. Also, we included a link to the Smart Investing at Your Library grant program. One of the questions that we get commonly is, is there money available for these types of efforts? The IMLS and the Smart Investing grant programs are just a couple of resources that you can draw upon for that. I also wanted to quickly show you the various resources that we have available. So across the top, we'll give you the quick sort of guide. We have a list of core websites here. These are sites that you could, if you're interested, that you can copy and paste right to your library's website. We have reviewed these websites using a set of standardized guidelines that we developed to make sure that they're accurate, up-to-date, unbiased, etc. We've also included the sponsoring organization of each website so you know right up front who's responsible for this material. We've also included some video sites that include some good financial education videos, as well as some fun sites for kids and young adults, and courses. Those courses are developed by a number of different organizations, and these are complete programs in a box, if you will, curricula that you can offer that are offered in schools or other organizations, and you can just register for these and pull out maybe what you want to present in a program, or use the whole thing from soup to nuts. So we thought that was a helpful resource for libraries to use. And then finally, the print resources. If you click on that, it will take you to a page that we developed in cooperation with the General Services Administration. These are free government publications in English and Spanish that you can order in bulk and have delivered straight to your branch or library. You can order up to 200 of each publication. And if you need more, there's a link down here. There's order at Pueblo, gsa.gov. Just write to them and let us know that you need to order more than the original 200. Some of the larger systems said that initially they might want to order more and centrally distribute those. While on the subsequent orders they might leave it up to the individual branches to order. So you have that option. Again, some of the publications here, many of them are from the CFPB. Some of them are from other organizations, and again, they're available in both English and Spanish. You can preview each publication by clicking the link, and that'll open up as a PDF, and so you can review that on your screen. And if you want just one or two copies to hand out to a patron at the reference desk, you can certainly just download this and print it and hand it out. But again, you can also order in bulk and have establish certain displays or what have you around specific topics. So these are general personal finance type issues, avoiding foreclosure, considering a reverse mortgage, reaching a money goal. We have a book by the SEC on mutual funds, and we have a number of materials from the FTC and the Department of Labor as well. So as we go forward, the program ideas and topics will cover these general areas: income and benefits, saving and paying for college, financial institutions, spending, saving, investing, debt management, credit management, avoiding frauds and scams, credit reports and scores, and identity theft. And again, these are areas in which those agencies that deal with financial education in the federal government have identified as core areas that we need to educate around, but we're also open to ideas that you all generate. So, we've already gotten a couple when we were at the ALA convention last week, and so we'll be adding those to the list as well. Next up is the marketing materials. Two important areas when we talk about financial education in the libraries is how do we tell the patrons who are in the library that these services are available, and how do we reach folks at home. So we've developed a poster, some 8.5 by 11 display cards, tabletop displays that you can put around your public access computers, and we have the other materials available as well. But the idea with this first set of materials is to, again, inform the people that are in the library. We've also added to the website under the marketing materials section a number of web banners and buttons and share graphics that you can put out on your social media to let people know that you're participating in the program and hopefully draw them in at that point. We're currently planning for 2015 and 2016, and right now on the drawing board are additional ways that we can reach out into the community and let people know that the library is a resource that they can utilize. We have a question that Dubis is going to go ahead and answer, so Dubis, you want to go ahead and answer state the question?
We have been getting questions through the online tool, and one of the questions is, will materials be available in languages other than English, resources and marketing materials? And the answer is yes. So, of course, we'll have materials in Spanish, but we'll also be working, we already have some existing materials in Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, Tagalog, and we will have more languages as we move forward. We have identified the top 7 languages based on census numbers, and those will be the ones where we have some of the materials available. But also, as Dan said, we would love your feedback because you're the ones serving your local communities to let us know what are the needs in your communities.
We've already mentioned the partnership guidebook and sort of walked you through that program or that part of the program. And again, we're really interested in your feedback and ways that we can, meet your needs better. So feel free to share your comments with us. You can reach us at financialeducation@cfpb.gov. And if you have a good idea, please share it with us. I mean, we're looking for program ideas, other ways that we can help get the word out, and other potential partners. Also, why don't we skip down to the last slide and before we take questions. I also wanted to bring your attention to the fact that we also have a LinkedIn presence. So I would encourage everyone who's on the call to go ahead and join us on LinkedIn. That's just another avenue for you to stay in touch with us and for us to share our resources with you. And, as we start sharing more and more programming ideas, that's just a good way to get it out to more financial educators that are out there serving the needs of the public. So I guess at this point, Jeremy, we're ready to go ahead and start taking questions.
Thank you. Thank you. At this time, we will begin our question and answer session. To ask a question, please press *1 on your touch-tone phone. Unmute your line and record your name when prompted. Your name is required to introduce your question. To withdraw your question, press *2. Once again, if you would like to ask a question, please press *1 and record your name clearly when prompted. One moment for our first question.
So we have one question that was entered, that was typed in during the presentation, and it says, it would be helpful if the material presented in this PowerPoint was also available on your library resources website. Actually, it will be. What we're doing is, as I mentioned at the beginning, we will be recording this webinar and maybe doing a few creative edits to make it better. But we will be recording this and adding it to our website along with the other webinars that we listed so that, over the course of a year, we'll have a good collection of training materials that you'll be able to reference in the future.
And also someone else asked that he or she missed our names. So my name is Dubis Correal, and
I'm Dan Rutherford.
And I'll put them on the screen so that you have our contact information as well. Jeremy, do you have any questions?
There are no questions in queue at this time. But again, if you'd like to ask a question, please press *1 and record your name when prompted. One moment for our first question.
Great.
Our first question is from Shelley Blicka. Your line is now open.
Thank you. Would you please restate what the URL was to the publications.usa.gov?
Sure. Just a minute. I'll put it up on the screen. Promotions.usa.gov/ /cftblibraries.html.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next question is from Joe. Your line is now open.
Hi. I was wondering about, I see that the bulk publications we can order up to 200 free copies. What about the other marketing materials? Will they also be free?
Yeah, the marketing materials, they're currently being printed. So we have the English versions in final form, and those have been sent off to the printer. They're being translated, and once we have the translations, we'll send those off as well. It takes a few weeks for the government printing office to print those up and get them warehoused, but we plan to add those to the bulk publications page when they're available.
Like the the computer tents and stuff like that?
Exactly.
Excellent. Thank you.
Welcome.
And always feel free to email us at financialeducation@cfpb.gov if you have any questions. So we'll be happy to answer questions through that email as well.
Thank you. Our next question is from Margaret Mansour. Your line is now open.
Oh, hi. I was just curious about the staff training that you mentioned, and I wanted to get a little bit more information. Is that going to be primarily webinars like you're offering today, or will it be more content-based, or can you give us some more information about that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. We're starting off with a webinar similar to this for the immediate future, but we're also working with and are in partnership with the Finner Investor Education Foundation, which is working with a couple of its Smart Investing at the Library grantees who are in the process of developing librarian trainings for not only providing knowledge transfer or face-to-face, reference desk type information, but also program development and other resources and help for librarians. We'll also, the CFPB will also be working with, on occasion, and when we can, reach a large number of libraries or library systems or branches, be able to do some in-person training. But, right now we only have 3 people dedicated to this project, so it's going to be, we don't want to spread ourselves too thin.
So the in-person training, what will that include?
Well, we're happy to work with the individual libraries on the types of trainings that they would be interested in. Some have said that they would just like to have a review of the materials and the program ideas that we're offering. Some are interested in more financial education type instruction.
And we also have heard from libraries that would like us to be there to conduct events for their patrons. And those are about specific topics like how to get a credit report, budgeting, debt management. So we have gotten those kinds of requests as well.
And we're also encouraging libraries to reach out to their cooperative extension service office. So, if they are able to or want to do a staff training and we're unavailable, that many times they can reach out to their cooperative extension service office and have that training right there in their county.
I see. So it sounds like primarily it's resources that you're going to be distributing to people, right, and making them aware of the kinds of materials that you and other government agencies have available to you.
Yeah, and like I said, these were items that the librarians told us that they were interested in. The trainings that we'll be developing or that we'll be assisting with, the materials that we're pulling together, a lot of that is, again, materials that are already available and already out there. We're just trying to coordinate and amplify those efforts and make them more available.
I see. So you're the coordinating agency among all the federal agencies that already have these financial resources. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair to say. And then so a little bit of background. We're the federal government operates a commission called the Financial Literacy Education Commission, or FLEC. It's made up of 20-plus government agencies that all do some form of financial education. Mm-hmm. We're coordinating with all of them. We've reached out and are encouraging them to provide resources to this effort. and we're serving as sort of the central conduit to get this material out to the libraries.
I see. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. There are no other questions in queue at this time.
We don't have any other questions online.
Correct. There are no questions in queue at this time.
All right. Well, we'll give it one more minute to see if anybody has anything on their mind. If there are any libraries on the line that haven't expressed interest in participating, we hope to hear from you. You can get involved with the effort by reaching us at our email address, financialeducation@cfpb.gov. And again, this is just the start of the conversation, not the end. So please, if you have any ideas or input, we would certainly like to hear from you.
We do have one question.
Great.
Just came in. One moment for the name. The question is from Rachel. Your line is now open.
I actually don't have a question. I just have a comment. This is fantastic. Thank you so much. I am certain that this was a lot of work, and I am fairly new in my position as a business coordinator in our library, and this could not have been timed better. So thank you very much.
Great. Well, we hope you like what you see, and if you do, we hope that you'll help spread the word for us.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, if there are no other comments or questions, we will be happy to give you back 10 minutes of your day.
Thank you very much for your attendance today. And operator, feel free to end the call.
Thank you. This concludes today's conference. All parties may disconnect.